original post about the. By the way, love this. I love that Ryan now has a failed meme attempt.
Yep. I have a couple of them.
Welcome. Yeah, it's they.
I thought they looked really good. Like
they,
I did.
The
like
thing
a
is,
bunch
they
of it.
do. It just.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Autopod Decepticast. This is your weekly podcast that delivers a minute-by-minute breakdown of the 1986 Transformers movie. We are on episode 71, which means we're going to cover the 1 hour and 10 minute and 1 second mark to the 1 hour and 11 minute mark. And this is your host, Aaron. And if there were ever a couple of guys that I'd want to work with to, I don't know, maybe bust off some positively charged pink goo into the guts of a major national monument in order to animate said monument, march it through the streets of New York, of course, with the help of the Nintendo Advantage, and then use it to break into the Manhattan Museum of Art, well, it would be these fellas.
I don't know, Ryan. She's a lot bigger than a toaster.
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, Kate,
I was
you're
reading.
just busy reading the business journal.
Well, I was busy reading the article where we're mentioned in the Springfield Business Journal. Sorry.
Just
Alongside certain other people like a podcast from Springfield, Hillbilly Feminist, Obscure Reference, Pop Goes the Culture, and many others that I plan to tag on our Twitter feed.
Sure. Jesus Christ.
This
Good to be company with you guys.
I'm glad you shoehorned that in.
I'm trying.
And definitely I'm glad that you took us away from the Ghostbusters
Yep.
2 riff that I was
Completely.
hoping that
He's
we...
like, I don't give a shit what you have planned. I am circumventing it.
So, gentlemen, but why don't you both speak in defense of Ghostbusters 2?
Oh, we're coming at it from that standpoint. All right. I like Ghostbusters. Actually, I will say I did not see Ghostbusters in the theater, but I did see Ghostbusters 2 in the theater twice. And I think that has partly an effect on the fact I enjoyed it so much. It's definitely not as good, but I mean, I have a hard time objectively seeing it because it's so tied up with seeing it in the theater and nostalgia. And I think it may be one of the first movies I saw like by myself or like without parents.
Ooh.
I think that Nathan Fields and I were dropped off to go see it, and I said after we got out, I was like, that was when the Battlefield Mall still had a theater inside of it, and I said I would like to go see that again. He's like, no way, man, I want to go see No Holds Barred, and
What's
about
that?
to say No Holds Barred is the wrestling movie with Hulk Hogan, and it is very terrible. But they came out the same summer. They came out at the same time.
I thought No Holes Barred was like something that you were going to mention on like...
No Holes Barred, which is my pet project.
There you go.
Where it's just me fucking like cantaloupes.
Yeah.
No Holds Barred.
It sports an 11%.
An 11% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow, I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
No holds barred basically means like there are no holds that are not allowed.
Look how close they are to one another.
And what's that actor's name?
It's Devo!
Devo, yeah. Well, that's not his name, but
Oh, is that him?
yeah.
Mr. Tommy Tiny Lister?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. That's Zeus. And he doesn't speak a lot in this movie either.
I love it when people have nicknames that are in quotes and are obviously that,
ironic,
opposite of what they meant.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ryan Churchy Jet.
Yeah.
Or Big Dick.
So anyway, I just want to put this up on the screen, and Ryan, maybe you edit this in. But
Or
this
not.
is my just edit in the
Oh,
audio.
I know what
This
you're
is my favorite gag.
It's pretty good.
In Ghostbusters 2, the setup is, it's a simple moment, really. The Ghostbusters, they've just been arrested for breaking their I guess
They had an injunction against using their equipment.
They weren't supposed to do supernatural investigation, and they got arrested because they got busted doing that, and they're in the courtroom.
Well, they dug up a street in order to investigate the river of slime.
I mean, that's also just property damage.
Yeah, I think it was more like they were impersonating city workers and they destroyed public property as opposed to the injunction.
I mean, honestly, they should be arrested.
But they did also have an injunction against using their proton packs, which comes in after this scene where Tully, who is their lawyer, who is a tax lawyer, says they can't use their equipment. They might be exposing themselves. And Bill Murray says, and you don't want us exposing ourselves.
So they've got some of that mentioned slime in the courtroom. The judge is going crazy. And then it explodes because the judge's anger causes the slime to
emotionally reactive.
Release its energy. And it just, I don't know, like, how big of a coincidence is this? That the slime that they happened to procure, the spirits that were inside of that slime were related to that judge in that he was like, it's the Scagnetti, I can't remember this.
Scarpelli brothers or something like that. I don't think, I always viewed it as more the slime is just a conduit allowing spirits to come through, so maybe they just
I see.
came
They
through
channeled it.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, anyway.
I'll just say, again, in defense of this movie, and then you'll play what you're going to, I will say I like the slime idea. I like it being emotionally charged. And also the co-star of this movie, the guy who plays Janosch.
Mm-hmm. He's great.
What's his name? Peter...
Wasn't he on Sex in the City?
No, he was on Ally McBeal.
Oh.
Which is another show that I loved. I loved Ally McBeal.
Same thing.
Not. But, I just like the slime. He's a great kid. Where are you from, anyway? The Upper West Side? He is Vigo! You're like the buzzing of flies to him, which is...
We'll remember his name. What is it?
Peter McNichol.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes, it's Peter
right,
McNichol.
So anyway, the spirits have been released. The judge is like, help us out. We gotta, and they're like, and we go through the thing, and they're like, they get the agreement that they get to use their proton packs, and then they just set up for this amazingly simple.
I hope it still works. It should. Power cells have a half-life of 5,000 years.
There's no time for a bench test. Heat them up. Do. Re.
Be gone.
I just like that smile.
The smirk.
It's the best Harold Ramis joke in the movies.
It's so, like, it's the dumbest thing ever, but every time I watch it, I just feel giddy inside. But, all right, well.
Oh, I wish it was He-Man.
Thanks, guys, for indulging in that.
Well, speaking of Bill Murray movies, I talked about this, how some of them don't hold up because he's...
You and Caleb both were.
Yeah, we were. And I
watch
revisited Meatballs.
Did you watch Meatballs? And?
It is not as bad as I was afraid of.
Good.
Because he is genuinely like, especially to the kid that he takes under his wing, who's kind of shy and doesn't want to be there. He's very sweet and like parental to him and like helps him out a lot. Now, that being said, there is another camp counselor who he just full-on assaults. Yeah. Like, it's in a play like, oh, I'm wrestling around, but she, like, says the words no and get off. Yeah. And she's laughing, but I'm like, this is not okay. Yeah, right. So it's problematic in that context, but it wasn't as bad as I was afraid it might be.
Cool. Should we after this, like, do a project, do the Meatball Minute?
We could just do old movies where there's sexual assault.
Yeah, nice.
That seems upbeat.
Let's cover that.
Porky's, it will probably be.
Oh my God, it's all crimes.
How many Porky's movies were there? Just two?
I think there's 12.
They were filmed in Canada.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Good job, Canada.
Way to go.
Blame Canada.
Guys, I have a shout out that I would like to share. And this really dates way back to minute 25.
Holy shit.
At that point in time, we introduced a segment called the Iconic Moment, where we pick apart some of the most impactful frames of the minute that we're covering. And, of course, that birthed, for better or for worse, I guess, a show regular. called The Ghost of the Iconic Moment.
Some people seem to like for whatever reason.
I don't get that, but
I haven't seen him in a while.
It's great.
He was on your couch last week.
Right, yeah. He vomited all over the floor. And
I haven't seen him since.
Sort of half-ass cleaned it up with his ghost sheet.
Yeah.
But at any rate, we started doing that based on a listener suggestion. And we credited that from the very beginning, but I am a nitwit, and I credited the wrong listener. And after much research, and I can't believe how patient Mr. Is it at Michael Andrews, a.k.a. Will Write for Pizza. You are the true father, I guess, of the or mother. I don't assume gender.
Sure.
Even though I did just call you Mister, and even though there's plenty of evidence to suggest that you're what we might identify as male, but I don't make those kinds of assumptions.
Sure.
But it was your seed of an idea that ultimately impregnated the show, which ultimately birthed the Ghost of the Iconic Moment. So thank you for the inspiration, and apologies for the misappropriation. May God have mercy on our souls. And the soul of the Ghost of the Iconic Moment. I wonder what that person was like in real life.
God, he sounds like a nightmare. I mean, to be cursed in limbo to show up on our show.
When he comes around, it's...
Maybe he'll let us know.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
So that makes me want to go into a little bit of news. A couple points here. I think this is probably a good time to announce that we are going to be. We don't know if we're doing anything official or anything, but we're going to be at TFCon Chicago.
We'll be attending in the last week of October.
That's right. So that'll be a birthday thing for you. Maybe people will give you presents if anybody.
Oh, everybody, bring me fleshlights.
Used fleshlights.
Absolutely. I don't want fresh ones. I want those to be filled to the brim with old semen.
I mean,
You can fresh semen.
lube it up.
I don't know,
for
why
you.
do you... Yep. That's
right.
And now that's
disgusting.
probably going to happen.
That would be awesome, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody comes up and just slaps me in the face with a full fleshlight of cum.
Ew.
Yum,
God.
yum.
There's got to be a term for that. You like?
Oh, there should
you've
be.
been like, I don't know. You've been fleshed, or I don't know. We've got to figure out something better than that.
We'll put that on Urban Dictionary.
Yeah.
So, TFCon Chicago. See us walking around. Well, I'm sure we'll probably make some t-shirts. That is happening October 26th to the 28th. And, of course, at the Crown Plaza, Chicago, O'Hare Hotel. But don't know what we're up to yet, but we'll probably be obviously shilling our stupid.
Yeah,
photos.
I'm sure we will make t-shirts where we identified ourselves, and then we'll bring some of our merch and
Stickers.
random stuff. Yeah.
Pass out stickers.
Yeah, great
Pass
idea.
out stickers.
Damn, we're going to have to get that going.
We will sell one sticker.
I'm just give them away.
And the other thing,
Probably. Yeah.
And the other thing that this is probably a premature announcement. This will, by the time this goes up, I don't know if it will be executed, but we are going to be putting posters up for sale. There's been a little traction on the internet based on a design by Mr. Ryan Jett, an illustration of Cup. That would be our Join the Autobot Army poster in the style of the old World War. Is that 1 or 2 where that came about? Uncle Sam poster?
Well, that poster was made for World War I era.
Let this guy speak on it.
You're right.
Let the guy, the art history master's
Liberty
degree.
Gardens.
World War I.
Thank you.
At any rate, we are going to be putting together some different sizing options of that, and it'll be available in our shop. We're going to base our sizing, I guess, probably on like whatever the most common frame sizes are to make it easy for you. So, we'll have some size tiers, some price tiers, and so look for that in the coming future.
Price tiers.
Size tiers, price tiers, where we sell good.
We should make some bro sales merch.
It's true. And there's a couple other posters we've made and stuff we'll throw up there as well. And
So
I know,
we're going to start getting this merch thing going.
There's
just in time for our podcast to end.
Yeah, there's been some buzz. There's been people wanting merch. So sorry for the delay, but
And I guess really what sparked that, we should thank these people. It goes all the way back to, I was listening to Transmissions, and they were covering an event called Retcon 2019, which is it's basically a Transformers convention in the Nordic regions, and they happened to, I guess, find the illustration on the internet. They lifted it and used it, and some people were like, "Hey, that's awesome!" And then when I heard about it, I was like, first of all, I heard about it in an audio fashion, and so I was like, what they're describing in terms of a Cup I Want You poster sounds a lot like. So I did the research, and surely enough, it was Mr. Jet's handiwork. And so, at any rate, we like it. We like that design too, obviously. So we'll start. We'll release it commercially. You'll love it.
You will love it.
You'll buy it.
I'd love to go to.
Buy our tchotchkes.
I'd love to be invited to Retcon. It'd be cool to go to Sweden for Transformers convention.
If they pay our airfare and lodging.
Everything, please.
I just don't know what we're gonna do.
We'll throw in some posters for it.
So that brings us.
Sorry.
No, we will. We'll give them some posters.
Absolutely.
Let's recap the last episode.
Oh, right.
What do you say? We got a job to do here. So last episode, Unicron sustained an all-out assault on Cybertron as Decepticons scrambled to defensive and offensive positions. Our Conehead friends, they met their end in the form of Unicron's chompers.
Yeah.
By the way, the Coneheads are definitely in the post-movie season 3 of the cartoon.
Are they? I don't remember.
Just to throw that out there, they exist.
Continuity on this is awesome.
Speaking of iron-rich diets, Unicron also devoured Galvatron whole, a move that the Autopod Decepticast team found questionable, you may recall. That doesn't make sense.
We talk like the gravity conversation.
Well, just why would you do that?
Why would you do that? Why didn't he fly out? A lot of questions.
Why didn't he just crunch him in his teeth?
Yep.
He could have maybe destroyed the Matrix in that moment. But anyway, and also the Autobots finally showed back up on the scene, and they were shocked, they were awed, but Hot Rod engaged the thrusters and forged ahead to the confrontation, which brings us to the top of this minute.
I will say right up top. So, okay, neither the Quintesson nor the Junkion ship appear to have offensive weapons of any kind in any way. It's the same way, like, we see the guns on the Autobot shuttle that never get used. And in this whole movie, like, the Revenge is the only ship that has any offensive capability whatsoever.
And boy, does it.
Yeah, exactly. And it just seems ridiculous. I mean, even in Star Trek, like, the science vessels had phasers. It's just...
You gotta have minimal
It
stuff.
annoyed me that you're like, they're just flying in, nothing, I can't shoot or anything.
Yeah,
But-
it would have been nice if once that Junkion ship lifted erect from the grounds of the planet, if the first question was like, has that got guns?
Yeah, does that thing have any guns? No. All right. Well, I guess we're just going to go.
I think we should assume that the Junkion ship at least has weapons, but maybe they just, I don't know, they didn't use them or we didn't get a chance to see them get used
I think
on
it would
screen.
just shoot. At the very least, it would just shoot trash.
Which actually is not a
Like
terrible...
nuts and bolts.
A terrible idea because...
Just shoot debris.
Like, space battles would not be anything like we see. You couldn't put it in a movie or a TV show the way it would really be.
Pew pew pew.
No, because... Right? No, well, first of all, there'd be no sound.
Pew.
Second of all, like... You would not be firing lasers. You wouldn't even shoot at another ship because you're going to accelerate all that debris back at you.
Well, and to bring it to the top of this minute here, the hot gas that or whatever it is that Unicron is emitting, it wouldn't have oxygen to keep itself hot, right? So
well, it's
could you
plasma.
really,
Like the sun is plasma.
Well, but I guess what's it drawing from?
Oh God, we're getting into another physics conversation.
Let's stop.
Aaron.
We're stopping
Well,
right
I'm
here.
just saying you could just fire you could accelerate cannonballs to like.
But that's not what's happening. It's like
I know.
energy.
I'm just saying there's no you wouldn't like for offensive weapons in a space battle. Like lasers are way worse than just firing like a big trash can.
Mm-hmm.
You should watch. All right, so I just read a trilogy of books called the Three Body Problem trilogy. It deals with space battles a lot, as scientifically as possible. Mm-hmm. It's really good. I highly recommend it. It's a Chinese author whose name I cannot pronounce, but
I'll check it out.
The Three Body Problem, and then that's the first book, and then there's one called the other book.
The next body, the four body problem.
But anyway, they're using all kinds of projectiles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like one of the most effective ways in some of those stories I've read to attack a planet is just to drop asteroids on it.
Right.
Because it would come off with the multiples of a nuclear blast.
Yeah. So that's not happening here, though.
Anyway, I was just mad they didn't have guns.
There we go.
Well, and I think at least my script deviations will go into that a little bit.
Oh, all right.
So I don't know about yours, but so we see this powerful green flame. Ryan thought of it at some point, or at least in his use, as some sort of freeze breath. Caleb talked about it as hot plasma. Whatever it is,
And vomit.
And vomit.
it nails.
Ryan hates that so much.
Whatever it is, it nails the Junkion ship, which manages to withstand the blast.
Weathers it quite well.
And Retgar explains in his own way that the ship is built to last, Ryan?
Patented enamel, resists fire, rain, and corrosion for up to 5 years. Satisfaction guaranteed. I couldn't understand that first part of it. I wrote that down too. Resist fire, rain, and corrosion for up to 5 years. I couldn't understand what is it?
The patented enamel.
Patented enamel.
Part of it. So the Junkions, they're already on top of the repairs to their own ship, and as a group, they respond. We should all three.
Or your money back.
Okay, I'm sure that was very annoying.
I like that part where it shows inside the ship at the first where Retgar is piloting and like struggling with the controls, and you see like they kind of accelerated the smoke going past it, which makes like gives it a sense of kind of urgency. And Perceptor's looking on like I got on the wrong fucking ship.
I got on the right ship though.
Well,
it's true.
yeah,
it is true. And I like how they weathered it, but it still did some little minimal amount of damage. Like I think that's really cool, but. So, yeah, I didn't notice until just now that, and it would make sense because obviously we don't see them inside of Unicron later, but our pals Perceptor and Ultramagnus decided to hitch a ride with the Junkions for
Do we
whatever
see
reason.
Ultramagnus? That's a question I have. I don't remember him in any of this for like the next like 10 minutes.
I think this is like the last time you see him.
Is he in this scene? I don't
There's
remember.
his arm right there.
Oh, there's his arm at the
Wow.
very far left. God, I didn't even notice that.
That's the last time you see him.
Right at
that's
the
last time
1
you see him in
hour-
the whole movie.
No, he's
1:10:08 mark.
he's in the movie later, but like we
And I think that's the last time you see Perceptor too.
Yeah.
If it was the last time I saw Ultramagnus in the movie, I'd be okay with that.
He's not relevant anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Which
I don't even
felt
know
like
why we needed to bring him back to life.
they didn't give him a lot. They definitely didn't give him a lot to do.
So, guys, by the way, the intensity is really ramping up at this part. Like, I feel like we're going to record 3 episodes today. Little behind the scenes knowledge.
Pull back the curtain.
But every minute we're watching today just feels really intense. And part of it's the music, because at this point, I think Stan Bush and Dare is playing in the background, and that lends a lot of momentum to what's happening on screen.
As we said off mic, my favorite Stan Bush song, and Aaron, yours as well.
Oh yeah, it's miles away, just a better song. It's not the anthem you need like the touch.
It's the anthem you deserve.
Well, true.
It's an action driving song. It's not the anthem you need to let you know that things are.
It's not a power
big,
ballad
right?
in the same way that Touch is.
So, Unicron at this point exhales a second blast of this teal fury, and it manages to pop the Quintesson ship right in the center, splitting the ship in twain.
Did it?
Yeah, it puts
that answers one of my questions later. I never noticed that. I thought it just clipped it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it does clip. Well, that's interesting. And I never noticed that, of course, watching it in slow motion. Yeah. One of the, I don't know what you call those things. Discs that, the spiral screw threads of the ship. Does get singed by Unicron. Well, not just singed, I mean molten, but it hits a core part of the ship and definitely cuts the ship.
Yeah, we're at 1 hour 10 minutes and 14 seconds in, and the ship. I did not notice that the ship gets cut in half.
Dang.
Mm-hmm. Well, that answers the question because later. We'll get to it, I had a question later.
The Junkion ship is made really well.
I know.
Because this shit. I mean, they just blew this ship in half.
I think it just lends to what we are to know as the industrious nature of those characters.
They use what they have available, and they know how to do it well.
Or your money back.
Oh, your money back!
But yeah, I that little detail of that singed part of the ship, I'd never picked up on before. That was very cool. So, from inside the ship, this is a great part. The Autobots, you see Cup, Springer, RC, Daniel, Hot Rod. They're tossed about like dolls, and the smoke from the explosion begins to pour into the cabin. I thought that's just such a cool,
it is cool,
nice touch.
Where was Wheelie?
Oh, well, he's around somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Huh.
He
just shows up later, too.
We won't see him again, I guess, until the end of the
movie.
The end of the movie,
All
right, well, nice knowing you, Wheelie.
Huh?
Good call out.
Did he get?
Sorry, we don't have any more lines.
Did he supposedly go inside of Unicron as well with the rest?
I don't think so. No. So he must be on the Junkion.
Which is weird. Because you think he'd be with Daniel.
He's
right.
in the
Maybe not.
He's in the back half. He's in the back half of the ship that got blown off.
Yeah. Well, no. Actually, that might make sense. We'll see enough. Maybe we'll discuss it when we get into the next minute. Because what ship did the Dinobots go on? And honestly, that makes sense where Wheelie would probably be hanging out with the Dinobots at this point.
Yeah,
I had a question about that because if we notice at the it's at the very end of the last minute actually, which I didn't notice until recording. There are like 5 like tiny little lights flying with the Quintesson and Junkion ship coming in from the background. I think it's meant to be the Dinobots flying with them.
but on their own.
Yes.
So hang on. Okay.
Do the Dinobots have the capability of flight?
Yes. We saw them fly earlier in the movie, but also they do fly in their Inception.
So,
Like,
let's just watch this.
right there.
1, 2, 3. Well, I'll be damned.
That could be it. You're right. 109.55. A little bit back in
That's
time
the
here.
only reference that there is to where the Dinobots.
No,
they're going to
they show up
again.
later.
Yeah.
But as far as that's the only reference that they're
But
not.
also,
on
why
the
would they
ship.
do that?
I
Why
don't
wouldn't
know.
they be on a ship?
I don't know.
That
I
feels
mean,
like
they
a
are-
waste of energy.
They're free flying later, yeah, but it doesn't show them coming out of a ship.
I was thinking in my head that maybe they were on the back half of the Quintesson ship, and so once that ship got cut in half, they fell out the back half, like the other guys are going to fall out the front half here momentarily. Anyway, so the Quintesson ship is cut in half. After we see the struggle and the smoke kind of flow into the cabin, Hot Rod grabs the controls with all of his might. I'm guessing that the power steering is damaged. He steers the ship right into Unicron's eye.
Yeah.
Which is a cool visual sequence. I love
the spinning coming
yeah,
directly at the
the
camera.
shot of the tip of the Quintesson ship just coming right at the viewer, which then flips immediately to a close-on shot of Unicron's eye as the front half of the ship just barrels into his cornea.
I guess that's why I never thought of it as cut in half, because it doesn't look cut in half, and the back half looks like exhaust, but I guess it's just the glowing remnants of it being molten.
Suppose.
Yeah.
This is where we're at right here. We're at 1 minute, or 1 hour, 10 minutes, 23 seconds, where they fall out of the ship as it goes into Unicron's eye, and I never understood why they fall out, but now it makes sense.
Yeah.
So a couple questions came up in my head at this point. So first of all, great drawings. The glass smashing illustration, particularly from the outside of Unicron, is like very fluid and just done really well. That purple glow, what you talked about, I'd never noticed that before, like as a thing, like from the burning of the Quintesson ship. Is this like the Autobots presumably don't know what's on the other side of this cornea?
It's true.
Is this kind of a kamikaze play?
I think basically it was a last minute, like Hot Rod had no
Yeah, I don't think
choice.
I don't think he had really any. I think he was trying to control the ship, and I don't think he maybe intentionally went into the eyeball. I think it was just he was trying to control the ship, and it happened to go into the eyeball.
Maybe it's reverse kamikaze in that he steered it into the eyeball because he thought that might be the only
Might
place
be.
that it keeps them all alive. Like,
I thought maybe
like-
he was thinking what would do the most damage.
Would anything that is the opposite of committing suicide be reverse kamikaze?
just
I
living
must
your life.
live.
Yeah.
Just me getting up and
Committing-
having breakfast this morning was
Yeah.
reverse kamikaze.
I guess I'm reverse kamikazeing today.
I didn't drive off that cliff. So I committed reverse kamikaze.
Non-divine wind.
Yes, undivine.
A secular wind.
Yes, secular wind. Yeah.
That just sounds like a fart.
That is a shower thought, guys. Nice job.
Yes, well
put
done,
that on
Caleb.
Reddit.
Yeah.
I will say that like I love the bit of whenever as soon as it punches through the eye, this word dare pops in the song.
Yeah, that's a great moment. Yeah, that great sound editing professionals.
Nice. Good job, guys who know what you're doing.
So from inside of Unicron, we see the Quintesson ship blast through the eyeglass. We see some of the semi-organic inner workings, though nothing that seems like it would act as a pupil or lens for this
No.
eye. That's kind of weird. But at any rate, the Autobots tumble out of the vessel. We see first Springer, then RC, Cup, Daniel, and finally Hot Rod. And the way they fall out is kind of just
It's
weird
goofy.
and awkward, but
Poor Daniel.
and do you think
God
they just
damn.
fell out due to the motion, like it was an uncontrollable thing, or do you think they were kind of like,
It
real
did
quick,
look like-
guys, let's jump?
I would imagine they had to have jumped because
Sort of like your discussion of gravity last week in an elevator that's falling out or a plane that's crashing. Just they jump out at the last second.
I
and
think
be
they must
safe.
have jumped just because like that it didn't seem that close to the cockpit for them to fall out necessarily.
It was it was an incredible gesture of reverse kamikaze.
Absolutely.
I do love in this next bit where the 27 seconds, we're back outside and Unicron grabs his eye, so it's obvious that that hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we've ever mentioned Rocky on this podcast before.
No.
But that made me think of
You're talking about the main character of the movie Mask?
Yes, Eric Stoltz.
Yeah, Eric Stoltz, Cher, and
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott, thank you. Yeah, okay.
I've never seen that movie.
Go on then.
In Rocky 4, I'm sorry, it's the Sylvester Stallone vehicle.
Oh shit, my bad.
The franchise. In Rocky 4, where he's fighting Ivan Drago, and it just reminded me of the part where his coach that is now, oh god, what's his name? I had his name here just a second ago. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Not Milton Berle.
No. Burgess Meredith is dead in number 3. I'm talking about number 4.
His coach is Apollo Creed's former coach.
Exactly. Yeah, Duke. That's what it is. In Rocky 4, where Rocky finally cuts Ivan Drago on the cheek, and his coach is like, "See, you cut him, you hurt him. He's not a machine." Which Unicron is a machine, but I'm like, oh, so he, does feel pain. He can be defeated.
Yeah.
It just made me think of that.
No, yeah, it is awesome. How he basically kind of reflexively reaches up to his eye and winces. I mean, to your point earlier, if Hot Rod was trying to create the most damage possible from this move, I mean, it feels like mission accomplished there.
That's a cool shot.
Now we're at about the 1:10:28
H.R.
mark.
Geiger.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So we're back inside the beast here, where our friends are falling, and they are passing through some kind of strange wall lining. There's just kind of ropes and ropes of thick cable layered on top of each other. There's these spike protrusions kind of sticking out.
We're going to see a lot of
horizontally.
spikes in the next couple minutes.
The whole team kind of narrowly misses the spikes, with the exception of Hot Rod, who just kind of lands right on the spike there. The rest of the team continues to fall until they land on some sort of, I guess, quote-unquote ground, which in this case is sort of this green metallic paneled hallway. If we're accepting that Unicron has gravity and these guys are at the will of this thing's gravity, I don't know how they didn't die, but especially Daniel, he should have been pulverized.
I feel like the exosuit has internal dampeners.
I mean, we just have to believe that.
I've been making the case for this whole podcast that Daniel should have been dead a long, long time.
I'm sure there's some fan theory that Daniel is dead the whole time.
It's like a Jacob's Ladder
They
kind
do
of
that
thing.
in every
Ooh,
Jacob's
I like
Ladder
that.
scenario. They do that in every movie where it's like, I've read a conspiracy theory of Moana that the pig is dead and imaginary. Nice. Like that's why he doesn't become the sidekick instead of Hey.
Like Daniel really,
much better choice.
like Daniel really did have an accident on his hoverboard, and then the rest of this.
Or
is
that
now...
Daniel is like an imaginary character, or like, well, I guess they do in other.
Maybe this is a
interact
Dallas situation.
It's
where,
a dream.
Yeah, after he wrecked on that thing, he envisioned this entire movie. I think it'd be funny. This is a little disturbing, but I imagine a moment where after everybody falls on the ground here, RC, because she's a caring mother type, she's like, Daniel, and she goes to like lift up the suit and make sure he's okay, but what she sees inside is just like organic mush, like in Jello, and maybe an eyeball
just
floating
splattered up against that dome.
Would she be like?
I guess that's.
Would she be like? Ooh,
she kind of just pushes it away.
Is that where Ultra Magnus would go? Ew, gross.
Well, that would be Hot Rod.
Rodimus or Hot Rod? Yeah, sorry, you got me.
Ultra Magnus would be like, I can't deal with that now.
And he obviously can't because he's not even here.
The writers of this movie cared so little about Ultra. Like, he's been abandoned.
He's gone.
Yeah, he really does get shit on this whole movie.
I've never actually felt bad for him until right now. He doesn't even get to hang out with the gang.
And arguably in season 3, he's the most effective. Like, he's basically the commander of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's the Dick Cheney to George W. Bush.
Well, I don't know if we want to go down that road.
Okay.
I'm Ultra Magnus.
You're doing the Jon Stewart.
I'm doing Jon Stewart doing the Penguin doing Dick Cheney.
That's right. So at this point, so they're all okay, by the way. Just if you've never seen this movie, just want to let you know that everybody survives this fall.
Can you imagine someone never seeing this movie and trying to piece together what happens by listening to our podcast?
Honestly, that's how I feel.
That's kind of how I feel.
I guess it's true.
Well, so I listen to the Transmissions podcast, and every now and again they review comic books, and they'll do like a kind of like frame by frame on the comic books. Mm-hmm. And I don't read the comic books, but I'm kind of interested in what's going on with them, so I'll listen to that sometimes.
They paint a good picture.
Yeah, that's just like the artists.
It's theater of the mind.
Yes.
That's right. So everybody's okay. Daniel inquires about Hot Rod's whereabouts. Springer does not know, and he hopes that wherever Hot Rod is, they didn't get him. And by they, we're talking about sort of a Unicronian internal defense mechanism.
I think this is like his immune system.
Yeah,
kinda.
sure, totally.
Big old grapplers.
And it emerges from holes in the wall of whatever organ that we think they're residing in right now. They look like, or it seems like they live like moray eels, but they're essentially these thin pinchers on a cable. They make a very trippy sound effect. Let's
Almost
re-listen to
insectile.
this. Let's re-listen to this. Yeah, it's like...
No, it's not like a duck sleeping.
Yeah, it's a cool sound effect. It's almost like if you were to take a slinky and
like a
wobble
whipping,
it.
like as if there were metal cables whipping around. I guess.
Exactly. So
I would be interested to know if they Foleyed that from an actual sound or if they were taking an analog synthesizer.
I bet it's a combination. I'm sure that comes originally from a natural sound. I would think.
Yeah.
So RC is like, quick, this way, and she leads the team away from the claws, down a tunnel as the claws continue to chase them. Back on Hot Rod for a second here as we close out the minute. He's resting on that spike, and in what is, as the entire community knows, is one of the most egregious animation errors, he slides off the spike and continues his fall down the vertical tunnel here. So yeah, that animation error is... Like, I remember even as a kid, that is one of the...
It's egregious.
It's startling.
Yeah.
It's like just... like, how do you fuck that up for so many frames? Also,
I know.
Like,
It didn't match. No background matching at all.
and essentially, you might recall, basically, as he's falling off the spike, they kind of mismatched the masking of where his leg overlaps the spike, and so you see this gap of what would be in I guess movie measurements, like probably 15 feet of Hot Rod leg, just kind of disappearing as he falls off the spike. But anyway, he goes up and he falls down this tunnel, which, by the way, I love the look of this tunnel that
he falls into,
Hot Rod
yeah.
is falling down. It is very cool, but it's a long fall. I presume it's the same exact tunnel.
I
Maybe we
imagine,
revisit this.
I guess.
It's not like he fell down, somehow found himself down a separate tunnel.
Yeah, I can only assume that
From the gang.
that RC and Daniel and them went down a different area. They landed somewhere else, and he's just falling down a separate tube.
Right. Yeah. Well, that brings us to the end of the minute.
Oh.
Guys, we had a couple discussion points. We already talked about Kamikaze. You talked about there's no evidence that the Quintesson or the Junkion ship, for that matter, has weapons. Basically, these guys showed up on the scene, were attacked,
What was their plan?
and got just shut down immediately.
I don't know if they expected to be confronted by Unicron. I think they were just trying to go to Cybertron.
I mean, they had to
I
expect it.
guess. Yeah. They
The
probably
answer
were.
is Unicron.
I guess you're right.
Yeah. This is some poor planning.
Well, I guess then let's get into the deviations.
Oh boy.
So our longtime listeners will know that typically we divide the script deviations up into two sections, and Aaron goes first. That's me, because my section is a draft of the script that is pretty close to what we see on screen, but there tends to be some interesting little notable, well, dare I say, deviations. And then Ryan will pick up after I'm done, because he has a very early Friedman-esque version of the script that usually has a lot of really trippy acid and mushroom coated sort of twinges to it. So at any rate, kicking mine off, some of the main differences: the Junkion ship resists Unicron's attack, and the script actually mentions that it fires back. It says the Junkion ship fires back, but it also mentions that there's not really any damage that Unicron takes from that attack. At that point, Unicron actually grabs the Junkion ship and tears it in half. And the Junkions manage to come together. That kind of like the scene that we do see on screen where those guys, they're kind of welding and trying to fix things up real quick. That happens. And what ends up becoming of it is that both halves of the Junkion ship become two interdependent, fully functioning ships. So I think that's kind of cool.
That is
actually.
really cool.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool twist. Ultra Magnus and Perceptor, who are on that ship, they're amazed, and the latter of which, Perceptor, exclaims, most unscientific, but effective.
Scientific? I don't know what's unscientific about
He
it.
totally needs a wedgie. So, and in my version of the script, script?
In my version of the script, the junkions, this is what they do.
In my version, the Quintesson ship as well also fires on Unicron. And also, it is a beam from Unicron's eye rather than what we see on screen as his mouth that cuts the ship in half. The cruiser rips through the eye socket and smashes through several, this is script language, through several, quote, electrical membranes that are, in fact, Unicron's brain. The ship dumps off the Autobots with an angle on Hot Rod. He tumbles out of the rubbish and down a deep pit, which we can assume, according to the script, is a robotic sinus or something.
I'm done for the night. Or something.
A robotic sinus or something.
Period. Carriage return.
That's awesome.
When the Autobots land, they are chased by dozens of hovering robots that look like floating bear traps. Cup calls them the Bugoids.
Okay.
So they're a thing I guess he's seen before that are inside Unicron's.
I've seen something like this before.
So that is, that's the end of mine.
All right. Oh, okay,
Ryan,
guys.
kick it off with the
Yikes.
craziness. Oh, is this going to be good?
It's different.
Okay.
I will say up top, there's a little correction. I said last episode there was no Quintesson cruiser or Junkion ship because they were flying Junkion, which they were flying the planet Junkion, but I don't know, somewhere in between last episode's script deviations and this one, the Quintesson cruiser and the Junkion ship both take off from the planet and fly toward Ingester.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, and
That'd be funny. They're flying the planet, and they just got the cruiser, the Quintesson ship, just stuck in it as they're flying around.
That's right.
Space.
So Hot Rod, it's on the
Like
Quintesson.
a passed out junkie with a needle in his arm.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
okay.
All right, moving on.
Huh. Junkion. Oh. So, and at this point, the Quintesson ship piloted by Hot Rod flies toward Ingester, and we see him take a swat at it, and he says,
"Defy me and perish."
What?
"Defy me and perish."
Oh, okay.
And Perceptor takes a scan of it and says, the creature's exterior plating is composed of antimatter filament. And then we're on another angle of Ingester's head and jaw as Hot Rod's cruiser flies between the head and the flailing arm. Posed for a blast between Ingester's cheek and hand. Ingester reacts. We see his eyes move to view this scene, and he quickly slaps his cheek, trying to squash the cruiser against his own face. But he misses, hitting himself as the cruiser darts free.
All right, pause for a second.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of them doing a scan and trying to find out more about it and giving Perceptor a role of sort of like an analysis. I don't like the execution of it in that
No,
script,
it doesn't
but
go
I like
anywhere
that
or mean
idea.
anything. I do too.
I hate the idea of Unicron slapping himself in the face like a fucking Three Stooges.
Yes.
Or he's trying to slap a bug that's not bitten him. The
Oh,
eyeball,
God.
crashing through the eyeball was a good move.
Yeah.
So we have Hot Rod. He says we're gonna take one pass and then fly right at it. And the Dinobots are also flying next to the cruiser at this point. And then Wreck-Gar is piloting the Junkion ship. And they all three groups of them, the Dinobots, the Quintesson cruiser, and the Junkion ship, are flying directly at Unicron. And Hot Rod says 1, 2, 3. And Jester reaches out to snatch the ships and the Dinobots, but then the cruiser, Junkion ship, and the Dinobots split into three-pronged assault. The cruiser zooming up toward Ingester's head, Junkion ship zooming laterally into Ingester's belt, and the Dinobots zooming down to Ingester's foot. Ingester doesn't know which one to grab first, so he grabs nothing and bellows in fury. He's just a big buffoon in this. The Dinobots near the Ingester's foot, Grimlock, Slag, Sludge, and Swoop dive in formation, and then combined blasts of fire and laser, giving Ingester a mighty hot foot.
Oh, good God.
But wouldn't he like that? Wouldn't he absorb that and turn it
I think
into
maybe he
energy
can only
and maybe grow
absorb-
bigger?
I was at that point as he grabbed his foot, he's like, oh, jumping up and
Hops
down.
up and down.
Yes, because he raises his flaming foot and reaches down to put out the blaze.
Maybe he could have used that cold breath from his mouth to put it out.
And then the Junkion ship gets over to his waist, and basically they move away from the controls, and the Junkion troopers eject, whoosh out, ejecto by gum, and the line of Junkions come out and like grapple onto his waist at this point. And then as Ingester's hotfoot is replaced by a shot to the gut, and he reacts, roars, and bends to feel the burning crash of the Junkion ship into his midsection. Woo! And then Hot Rod says... So they basically grappled onto his waist and like crashed the ship into his...
So they all hopped out of the ship.
Yeah.
Grabbed it, created like sort of a mace sort of thing, but the Junkions themselves are the chain of this mace, and they swing the ship, which is the head of the mace.
It's a little confusing, but that's what I got out of it.
Gut of, okay. Mm-hmm. Sort of a kamikaze play, but
sort of
not so much because they jumped out of the ship, and anti-kamikaze play.
Yeah. And then...
Reverse kamikaze.
Oh, my bad.
That's right. Please.
Well,
and then Hot Rod's cruiser approaches Ingester's ear just beneath the horns, and he says, "Prepare for impact!" As the cruiser screeches in, skidding and sliding, and stops at an odd angle, wedged in a convolution of Ingester's ear. Touchdown!
Oh, no.
I think it's meant to be like touchdown, but it's touchdown with an exclamation point. So, and Ingester says, like Tim Taylor. Hot Rod exits the cruiser with Daniel in the exosuit, Cup, Ultra Magnus, RC, Blur, and Perceptor. So they're all together here. And Hot Rod says, "Keep him busy while I drop in." And RC says, "Be careful." Hot Rod and RC, as he pulls himself up, looks back and smiles at her. "You too, beauty bot."
Oh no.
Good stuff.
So and also for just a little bit of context from the previous reading, Hot Rod at this point has already gained the mantle of leader of the Autobots. The Autobots kind of like basically said, "You're the guy going forward," and he's like, "I'll take it."
They're at least following his orders, yeah.
Yeah, so...
and then Springer runs up beside RC and Daniel and says, "If Hot Rod's gonna have a chance, we gotta keep this big Galooticron busy."
Galooticron.
And Blur, very fast, busy. He transforms, and this bumper is seen to be a bumper with a flame nozzle.
Where's Blur?
Exactly. There's a lot of where are these people?
We haven't seen Blur in
ages.
I mean, I guess we saw him
on
Junkion.
Junkion. That's the last time we see him until the end.
I forgot about Blur.
At least they're all included in the script here. Blur takes off, riding down the neck and across the chest of Ingester, spewing flame as he goes, scorching Ingester, who, in mid-reach to investigate his ear, reacts and travels off with Blur, and a furious roar starts slapping at his neck, chest, and causing Blur to do, like...
slapping at his what?
Slapping at his neck and chest, chasing Blur
his
like
neck chest.
Yeah,
like he was some kind of hopping mosquito, which is not a thing that's a thing. Yeah, that's where we'll end, right there.
I like your notes. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I do have a note that says this because it's just so slapsticky, like literally.
I'm glad this was edited, but we'll make sure to include it in our. We're gonna put it up on Kickstarter. Our the Friedman version.
Oh, the Friedman graphic novel.
That's right. This is gonna be probably a 200-page, maybe 300-page graphic novel.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Faithfully executing Friedman's original vision.
Come at us,
Or
Friedman.
Transformers the movie, or join the team.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean to like attack us.
Come at us.
Hey, we've said some nice things about you somewhere.
He just busts through the door here head first.
Like the Kool-Aid Man?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Well, this is about the time that we get a visit from a particular... We can...
I'm the ghost of the iconic moment.
You know.
Caleb, what you got for this?
What was your iconic
minute?
moment?
Well, hold on.
remember?
What's on the screen right now?
Oh.
Well, that's not very helpful.
A big...
I mean, crashing the ship through the eyeball is pretty rad.
That's the first indication that Unicron can be hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really.
That was mine as well.
I think it's a very creative thing to do, too, just as far as plot.
It was a nice evolution, and I guess it's a testament to why am I blanking out on his name? Flint Dilley's editing.
It's like you read like Ryan's script, and I would be like, "Nah, fuck it. Let's just crash the ship through his eye. That's badass."
Yeah,
Why
that's
the
badass, and it would take a second to do.
It's true.
It'd be better.
I mean, you got to think
the
by
way
the
it
time they
goes.
get to the end of a movie, like producing a movie like this, that they're like, But and I guess I'm making the assumption that they are producing the movie in order, sequential order, which may not be the case. I'm sure they have teams working on different sequences.
Think so, yeah.
But there is sort of a hurry up and let's get this done feeling to this part of the movie, and maybe it's just because it's the end of the movie and we're supposed to feel like more of that intensity as I was speaking. To be
honest, like, and whenever I started watching these next 3 minutes, I was shocked as to what is happening. I'm like, I remember this as like being 5 minutes from the end of the movie, but we're still like we're only at 14 minutes, an hour and 14 minutes, or an hour and 11 minutes in.
We got 15.
Minutes left. Yeah,
but,
or 14. Yeah,
but how much of that is credits?
About a good 5 minutes. Which I still don't know how we're going to handle that creatively, but
you guys keep worrying about that.
We don't have to handle it creatively.
Yeah.
we can handle it really lamely.
We'll have plenty of stuff to talk over while we just look at the credits.
That's true.
Trust me.
The just to tie into what you're saying, like that moment when they impact and the Stan Bush dare, that is just like...
It's the best.
That's perfect. This is perfect. So
3 for 3.
All right, great. Here we go. We have do you have to have 4 people for a quorum? How does a quorum?
I think a quorum just means like everybody. It's either everybody's represented, or I think it's a majority, or everyone is available to vote.
What is the word where everybody agrees?
Unanimous.
It's unanimous.
All right, we got there.
I don't know language, guys.
English.
This early onset is bumming me out.
The biggest hound in the pound.
So,
Next time on the Autopod Decepticast.
we see 2 adversaries unite against a common foe. Just kidding. We see round 1 of the intergalactic battle of the century, Hot Rod versus Galvatron. So listen to the show, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and TuneIn. Follow us on our social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all of them at APodDcast. And, of course, there's our web presence, AutopodDecepticast.com. iTunes users, rate, subscribe, or Google Podcast users.
Yeah, 5 stars, please.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, see you guys.
This is a great episode.
Oh, yeah, it was. One of the best ones.
Bye. That sounded sarcastic.
But it was used for my previous job.
Speaking of conventions, Aaron, did you look at the Transformers Cybertron Siege toys?
Yeah, you're talking about the San Diego Comic-Con?
Yeah.
They look good. I think they look good.
I was wondering about your thoughts about that, because most people I've seen think they're really awesome, but I saw I guess only one dissenting tweet that was like, I don't like they're too greebly and there's too much texture.
I kind of like that about it.
I do too.
Now that I'm in a place where I basically kind of have my cartoon looks box checked for the most part, I don't mind checking out these things that are kind of twists on it. But the thing that I think is cool about it is I feel it looks like one of the biggest complaints about their toys over the last 10 years, at least for me, is that they're all like gappy. Let me find. I've got some down there. I could go grab them, but they have gaps in places. Like if their fist flip out, there's just an ugly gap, or gaps in the legs. It's like cheap production techniques, and it looks like they are starting to sort of address that. Like there's a little bit of a gap there, and there is a gap in the legs, but in the past, that gap probably would have extended all the way here. It looks like they're trying to make them look a little bit more quality and put a little bit more paint.
Guy's got some wide ass shoulders on Sideswipe there.
And I just think the characters look kind of cool. I think that Hound looks pretty cool right there. Let me see. I thought that there was an Ironhide that looked really
neat. I thought the Ultra Magnus looked really good too. Oh god, not to jump around all over the place, but have you heard on the new Bumblebee movie that trailer that's not Starscream?
That is so fucking annoying.
Isn't it?
Who would it be?
It's Blitzwing.
Ugh. You got a good thing going. Everybody's happy about it, and then you ruin it.
Why would you do?
Somebody said that's the most Transformer thing to happen on the Transformers live-action movies is to make that not Starscream.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I can't imagine they weren't aware that everyone's gonna think that's Starscream. And I did see one smug tweet who was like, "I told you guys that wasn't gonna be Starscream."
For Christ's sake.
Which I'm like, yeah, I mean, good call, I guess, but it's so weird. It's just a weird, why make him look exactly like another character?
It's so fuck and get everybody's hopes up,
Right.
About like, oh, this is great.
It's a good pairing. Starscream's intimidating. I mean,
And I'm fine with it
and
being.
plus, it's a good pairing.
it's a good pairing.
Yeah, I'm fine with it being Blitzwing, but not. It's everybody was like, oh well, I like Blitzwing, but now I'm disappointed because I had my mouth all set for Starscream.
Nothing against Blitzwing. It's just like.
I did see a funny gif of somebody transforming a toy Starscream, and then at the end it shows Blitzwing, and then it says Astro Train.
So this is the one I'm kind of the most excited about. Is the Siege for Cyber? Like it for the first time in a long time, we're actually getting like an homage to the old white Optimus Prime, and then all this armor is going to cover him up and turn him into Ultra Magnus. I mean, it looks like a quality figure, but.
That's the thing. Like as a kid, I never understood why there was a white Optimus and Ultra Magnus, and then realizing it was a Diaclone, which Japan was all about combiner robots like that, of like making suits for robots and so that makes sense now. But I'm like, yeah, that's really cool looking. I like all the Siege toys that I've seen so far.
I just wanted to put a pin in this because I couldn't find the Ironhide. I think this Ironhide
looks great.
Awesome. Like it looks like a cool Cybertron brick.
It's a minivan.
That is something somebody else said they didn't like the brickiness of them, but I do.
All right, it looks awesome.
Have they ever had any of the Coneheads transform into their Tetrajet forms? That would be cool.
So, go ahead, Ryan.
I think there was a Kickstarter for that.
Yeah, so that's the Moss Toys Tetrajet Kickstarter campaign, and they got funded.
I think they did. Yeah, they got funded.
And
I retweeted that a couple of times.
They seem to be nice people, but so I think it looks like a great figure. I'm probably not going to buy it, although I would love a Tetrajet in my collection. But these look awesome in robot mode for sure, and they look awesome in this mode as well. It's just not as
smooth,
homage-y as I'd like it. But I might buy it. I don't know. Probably not.
Sorry, Moss.
Speaking of things I bought before we get into it,
Blow cells, where we sell good.